So since we're getting closer and closer to Alpha 2, I thought I'd do a bit of a speculative video, and what I'm going to do is dive right into that to hopefully temper some expectations and kind of give a more realistic look of what Alpha 2 is going to be like and what it's going to consist of. Now obviously I know with the AMA we're going to get a lot of information there and a lot of clarity. We're going to get the Alpha 2 date for October, and hopefully we're going to find out when the new Alpha 2 keys are going to drop. But without rambling on anymore, I'm going to jump right into the video and get amongst all the information we have. So the first thing I'm going to talk about now is the actual archetypes. We already know the 6 archetypes that will be ready and included for the start of Alpha 2, and this is going to be the Bard, which we've just seen, which was really cool, and I think a lot of people are going to switch to that. Cleric, Fighter, Mage, Ranger and Tank. Now if you don't know any of these, I've got videos on multiple ones. Have a check of the wiki, check stuff out. There's a lot of information there, and if you're going to be participating in Alpha 2 or plan to buy one of the keys, get yourself up to speed, kind of learn the ins and outs of these, and really do prepare for what class you want to go into Alpha 2 with. But as well, if you actually just want to quickly take a look at the archetypes, you can watch my archetypes video, which takes quite a deep dive and a deeper look into each one of these classes that we've seen. We know the Rogue and Summoner are meant to be in one of the earlier patches for Alpha 2, and personally I'm going to be using and utilising the Rogue quite a bit, and I know a few of my guild members are going to be hitting up the Summoner, so I would imagine that'll come in and we might actually get a wipe with that, or maybe if it goes smooth we'll continue and we'll just switch out, but it's definitely a class switch I'm going to be changing to. We also know that we won't have full secondary archetype system at the start of Alpha 2, as these are going to be introduced individually, which I don't think is that bad at all. Now if you're coming in just to fuck about and play the game, obviously people are going to be butthurt, but you've got to remember this is an Alpha 2 testing phase, and doing it phase by phase is going to get more steady feedback on that specific archetype and secondary archetype or class, whatever you want to call it, and that is a better way to kind of find the bugs, fine tune and balance and really give detail to that. So I'm with Intrepid on this 100%. It is a better way of developing the game, and remember that is why we're here. We're not here just to play the game and have fun. We're here to make potentially one of the best MMOs in its niche category, and if any MMO can do that, Ashes is the one to do that, and that's always my mindset for my guild and myself going into the game. So I know a lot of people have been saying it's level 35 for Alpha 2, however that has actually been changed now and it's lowered, and you're only gonna be able to get to level 30, so that's changed. A little bit of a tweak, only 5 levels less, but that's fine because as we advance through Alpha 2 I do imagine that'll get tweaked and adjusted, and then maybe add a few more levels onto that, so we might end up at 35, might even end up at 40, but initially we're going to be capped at level 30, which I don't think is that bad. And when it comes to weapons and the start of Alpha 2, we already know we're going to have one-handed maces, sword, both one and two-handed, wands, spellbooks, longbows, shortbows, two-handed spears and the dual wield daggers. And along with these weapons, obviously you're going to get the weapon skill trees. There may be other weapons, however they won't have their complete weapon skill trees, so I imagine because they don't have their complete weapon skill trees, if you're trying to min-max the 30 levels and your build, obviously for efficiency, because we are testing but we still want to be useful, the ones that don't have the fully maxed out skill trees or the limited, I think people will have a little piss about with them. But in reality, why would you pick a less finished skill tree, which is going to maybe, I would say it's highly likely going to limit your potential in game, than one that's fully finished? So I mean, people will definitely test it out, and it might even be part of the testing phase that they ask us to do, but realistically it is what it is. Like, if Steven does watch this, people are going to probably avoid testing that. In my honest opinion, it's probably best to hold off on some of them that aren't fully finished, or at least give a bit more, because I just don't feel people are going to test that, because if they do, they're going to have a weaker character. But it is what it is. That's what they're saying is going to happen. That's my opinion, but either way, that's maybe something I don't agree on as much, but that's kind of what we are going to get as we know it now. So when it comes to zones, biomes, weather and nodes, I think that's something we'll jump into now and definitely needs talked about, because it's a big thing people want to know. So they have said there's going to be 18 biomes in the whole world of Ashes of Creation map of Vera, and we know from the past live stream, for a zone to be included into Alpha 2, there must be at least 60 to 70% complete. So there's a big chunk of biomes we're definitely not going to be seeing. We got an update from Steven, mentioned how 7 biomes were ready environmentally and asset wise. However, he didn't mention how finished they were content wise. So since that was 5 months ago, I would say they've worked on the content. So these zones are probably going to be ready for Alpha 2 in my opinion. They're most likely only going to be on the western continent, as we've seen a lot of the Riverlands and some of the Sand Squall deserts so far. Now the other zones I would guess will have in Alpha 2 are zones around the Riverlands. So you're looking at the Volcano, the Jundark, the Badlands, the Tropics, and maybe even the Redwoods Forest. So I don't think that's bad to start it off, and if we did get that, I am more than happy. Now I understand a lot of other content creators are thinking we might only get a couple of biomes, and some are agreeing with me. I don't think you're going to have a couple of biomes going into Alpha 2, because the amount of people going in, it would be an absolute shit show, and the amount of servers they would have to put up for that capacity to just to fit that player base, because of such a small section, it doesn't seem viable in my honest opinion, and it's potentially why they did delay till October to, you know, really fine tune and get the finishing touches there. So I would definitely stay positive there. I think we are looking good for a decent amount of biomes. I believe we'll also get the full season and weather systems, since it was announced in May of 2022, and we've seen a lot of different seasons and weathers working within the game. So I don't believe we'll have every single function of the seasonal system and weather system, but I think we're gonna have the weather there. Obviously I think we'll have certain very limited amounts of seasonal effects going on and other things happening, but we'll be testing and trialing and tweaking, and then I think it'll really expand and we'll have a really decent weather system and seasonal system. But we will definitely have some of that to play with, but when you do see it, I wouldn't imagine this is nowhere near the finished product. When it comes to the finished product, we're going to have a lot of fun with what they've said in it. The gameplay dynamics, it's going to be crazy, and it's definitely going to lock a lot of content and really tweak and adjust how we're going to play the game, and we'll get a little bit of that, so I'm happy about that too. I didn't expect to get everything. If we do, fucking amazing. I just don't see that happening though. Now for the start of Alpha 2, it's been said we'll have up to a stage 5 city progressions and potentially stage 6 metropolis. However, I don't personally think we'll have stage 6 for the start of Alpha 2. I think this will be included in an update further down the line. However, one thing I will say is when it comes to the node system, we know the election type node is going to be that type for every node at the start of Alpha 2. That is kind of the academic or the scientific as people know it. The election type will always be voting, so you're not going to have a chunk of all these others. What I will say is I see a lot of these guilds and a lot of these players saying they're going to take a metropolis, and that's what they're going in day 1 to do and hammer it. They're also talking about all these different nodes they're taking. From the facts we know now, the AMA could have massively changed, but I don't think a month delay will have changed this. So if I was you, I'd temper your expectations. Make sure your guild is actually ready to understand what the game is, because if you go in telling your guild and everyone that this is what you're doing and it doesn't exist, you are going to have quite a disgruntled player base. So definitely get the facts, try and get yourself prepared as guilds and as players. Go in not overhyping too much. I suppose that doesn't rest just with the guild, it's you as a player and a tester. You should be researching this stuff and you should be looking into it, and if you come in and you're disappointed, I wouldn't say that's Intrepid's fault. I would personally say it's your fault for not understanding what the Alpha 2 test is. Now I'm not saying if the server is crashing every 2 seconds and the game's a pile of shit and doesn't work that you shouldn't be disgruntled. That won't happen. I'm fairly confident in that, but if all these other things like the stage 6 metropolis, this type of nodes, all the professions and all this stuff, if it's not in and you're disgruntled, that's on you, because these are the facts as we know it now. And my whole purpose of this video is really just to be a bit more down to earth, a bit more factual, speculate a little, but just get everyone prepared for Alpha 2 as well as my guild, and you know, as I said before, temper them expectations. Go in happy, go in positive, but don't think this is an MMO launch, and that is a lot what's happening right now, unfortunately. So jumping into races and character creator. For the races, we have seen most over the live streams. However, I do not think we're going to see the full 9 for the start of Alpha 2. So far, we haven't seen the Tulnar or the Nakua on a live stream. However, we did see update turntables for the Nakua in March 2024's live stream, so there may still be time for them to be ready for Alpha 2. However, when it does come to the tool now. We saw concept art from them in July 2022 and we've not seen them since, which makes it seem unlikely that they'll be ready for Alpha 2, which is fine. They probably need a bit more time getting worked on, and it still gives us a good chunk of different races to mess about with. Now, a lot of people are expecting the character creator to drop before the launch of Alpha 2. I do think this is still a slight possibility that we'll have to mess around with the character creator, maybe save presets in the launcher, but we will not have access to Alpha 2 until maybe a week or a few days later. Time to get our characters ready and just make some content and get a little bit of hype going before the game. I could be wrong on that. We might not get any character created anymore and the game might just drop, and that's the first time we'll see it. Now jumping into story arcs and quests. I imagine due to the extra time that it's taken for Alpha 2 and Alpha Zone to be classed as complete, there'll be a decent amount of story arcs and quests within the game we already know. I also believe, as in the July 2024 live stream, during the studio update, we found out during milestone 9 that they had completed 8,900 story points, which seems like a monumentally large amount for a game that is going to be in Alpha 2. In the past, we've already seen at least 9 story arcs, including An Ancient Violence, Harrow Moon, Relic of the War, The Blood Still Due, The Enemy Within, The Minotaurs, and The Pilgrim's Problem. So for anyone worried about PvE content and quests and stuff like that, yeah, I wouldn't be worried, because they really have focused on fleshing this stuff out and really working on it, because 8,900, pretty big fucking number for the start of Alpha 2 if we're getting that, and that's fairly solid content right there. So PvP content, as we've seen from past live streams, we know both caravans, open world PvP, and node wars, not sieges, so not node sieges, node wars that we've seen in the live stream, are ready and working within Ashes of Creation. I also think that since we've seen castle sieges in Alpha 1, we'll most likely have some type of castle siege system, even if it's very tapered down and maybe not the full thing. I think we'll also see guild wars within early Alpha 2, as I think the system will be quite similar to the node war system, and so it would be fairly easy thing for them to have ready for Alpha 2 or a more placeholder basic version. However, I don't think node sieges will be ready for the start of Alpha 2, just due to not yet really seeing them on a live stream. It's one that I imagine is going to be shown on a live stream if it was ready and really brushed out to us more, because that would build up a lot of hype. So I do think it's probably going through a lot more work, and you know, as it's part of the main game and replay loop and has massive impact on the world, it's going to take a long time. It's got a lot of interconnect. Fucking hell, it connects with everything realistically. So yeah, I don't think we'll see that yet, and that's totally fine and expected in my opinion. Now, freeholds, obviously our guild's based a lot around freeholds. A lot of what we're going to be doing, we are semi-hardcore to hardcore, so semi-hardcore with a hardcore group within it, and freeholds is a huge part of that. You know, if you want to get really hard into the PvE or PvP, these are going to be key. Now, we've seen a good chunk on freeholds within the freeholds stream, and I have 2 videos covering the freeholds. If you want to know more about them, I will pop them in the description below and the links to them. Check them out after this. A lot of good information. Really excited to see them. I think these will definitely be in place for Alpha 2. However, maybe without all aspects such as taverns and NPCs. I do however believe the processing buildings will be available, and the player housing, as we've seen they're working on these systems all the way back in June 2023, and they've already had plans for these systems in place then. So definitely more guild group based content, even if it's a little social hub and kind of storage at the start and then they expand out on that. So we've had quite a few live streams to do with the arts and professions, and I've seen quite a lot of it is in place. We don't know how in depth it will be, but we know that the UI for the arts and progression for gathering, processing and crafting is in place. We've also seen the different tiers of gathering tools and different gathering types of tools, and we've also seen a lot of the crafting UI during the past year, so we know there'll be a decent amount of crafting in Alpha 2. However, do bear in mind some of that's probably going to be placeholder, especially when it comes to the processing side, as we haven't actually seen a lot of the processing yet. And when it comes to the artisan classes, they have said it's expected to come fully online during Alpha 2 and the betas. So when it comes to artisan classes and all the stuff to do with him. That is the information as it stands now. I think it's fairly accurate, and I don't think the email changed too much on that. You'll just maybe elaborate more. Now, I know a big one is you guys want to get into the Alpha 2, and if you're not in the Alpha 2, don't worry, because they are going to be selling Alpha 2 keys. Now, with having a guild and having multiple people I know having different types of packages and knowing what's in the packages and having them myself, I would expect the Alpha 2 keys to go back on resale for around $80 to $100 if they come just as the Alpha 2 key on their own. And I personally don't think they will go on sale till the Alpha 2 testers are fully in the game and the servers are stable. So I would see looking at a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks post Alpha 2 launch, and that is a minimum. Now, this is just my speculation going off what I've kind of read and know, and some of the pop is dropping off, or they can kind of finalize how many people they have in testing. $80 to $100 for potentially 2 years of Alpha 2 or more is well worth it. If you want to get in this game, just drop the £100 if you want to test and you want to get involved. If you're not that bothered and you don't want to be part of the bugs and you don't understand the testing and the stuff I've said here isn't what you're looking for, and you want to know every aspect of the game and you want to know bugs and you want to know, you know, kind of more like a beta, don't waste your time. You're going to pay in and you probably won't like it, or you could pay in, lock yourself a little spot off, and then come back 6, 7 months, 8 months down the line. Personally, I don't think you've got nothing to lose by paying in here. I can guarantee this isn't a scam, and I would never ever advertise anyone to spend any money on something that I thought was a scam, because obviously you do still have some smooth brains out there saying this is a scam. But I understand to test the game, it's not for everyone. But for my guild, semi-hardcore, you don't get in unless you have Alpha 2, and for many other guilds, and for someone who's really invested and really wants this game to succeed, it's just like a donation in my eyes. A donation that comes with a lot of benefits for this game to succeed and for us to test and give valid feedback. Do know there will be downtime during Alpha 2. Servers will go down. Character loss could happen and character progression. There is going to be wipes, so you will have to start again, and there'll probably be specific testing phases and a lot of other bullshit that we can't even imagine yet. But once that's sorted, it is truly a priceless experience. But that's my opinion. You have your own opinion and your own mind, so make your decision based off the facts and don't go swinging the money lightly if it's not for you, because it's not going to be a good experience. But if you're invested and you have the same feeling I do, get that shit bought, get in, get tested, and let's help make a really fucking good MMO and, you know, give good solid feedback. So that is the end of that video. I hope that clears up a lot for you. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you guys think? Do you have anything you expect to be added in? Do you not like some of that? What prices do you think the Alpha 2 keys are? And just let me know your thoughts. Drop a like, give the video a share. I do want to try and hit 2k subs. That's my next milestone. I've got a lot more videos, a lot more content coming, and when we're in Alpha 2, I will also be streaming over on Twitch, so you can follow me over there as well. Appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.